Make up your mind, champ. The world's getting tired of waiting. Cole wanted to punch Garvey's teeth into the next county, but instead he forced a smile. After Garvey left, Cole's fist tightened until his knuckles turned white. It was late afternoon when the boat's outline disappeared and the faint moaning of the outboard melted into the quiet. Sudden hot tears clouded Cole's vision. This was cold circle justice, but it was no different than being in a jail. Once again, he was being abandoned by people who wanted to get rid of him. His parents were probably glad he was a million miles from their world. They wanted him locked up like a caged animal. Cole felt a familiar rage building inside him. The last time he had felt like this was back in his small detention cell. One afternoon, after he had refused to do the schoolwork they brought to him, his television privileges had been revoked. Cole purposely isolated himself in his room, sitting sullenly. His anger smoldered like a lit fuse. He fantasized about how he would get even with everybody if he ever got free. His rage ignited. Cole jumped to his feet and stormed across the cell. He tipped over his metal-framed bed and started hitting the wall harder and harder. Soon, blood from his scraped knuckles smeared the concrete. Finally, Cole fell to the floor beside the toilet. Sobbing, he stared at his bleeding knuckles. Somebody would pay for this. He was still huddled on the cell floor hours later when Garvey had stopped by. Garvey walked thoughtfully around the overturned bed, then headed back toward the door. Cole looked up. Leaving already? I'm tired of being around someone who blames the world for all his problems. So you think it's my fault? I think the world isn't always a fair place. The sooner you get that through your thick skull, the sooner you can get on with your life. So does this mean you're not going to be my sponsor? Cole blurted. Garvey shrugged. It means you need to make up your mind if you want change. I already told you I did, Cole said. Garvey glanced down at Cole's bruised and swollen knuckles. Are the walls getting the best of your fights? I fell, Cole said, wishing he could wipe the corny smile off Garvey's face and show him what fists were really for. I hurt them falling. He took a deep breath. He wasn't going to let Garvey sucker him into getting mad and blowing this chance to avoid jail. Are you going to be my sponsor or not? He demanded. I'm not going to beg. Garvey stopped in the doorway and turned. He looked Cole straight in the eyes. I'll help you, but don't waste my time. You understand? I don't have time for losers. Cole mustered a serious face. I won't. Okay, Garvey said as he left. He called back. Hey, champ, try falling on your fist sometime. Standing all alone on the shore, Cole felt his anger smoldering. Soon it would explode like gunpowder. As the fuse burned shorter, he tore off his clothes, turned each piece right side out, and dressed again. Now the game was over and he was in charge. He turned his back on the shimmering water and headed across the rocks. Driftwood, seaweed, and shells lay scattered among the basketball-sized rocks. Cole picked up a chunk of driftwood and flung it hard. The shelter filled with supplies was a buyout, something that allowed his parents, what everyone else, to pretend they had helped them. They hadn't done squat, Cole thought. He would rather die than spend a single night in their dumb hut playing their stupid game. He swore as he neared the shelter. Spewing a barrage of venomous curses, he took the blanket Garvey had given him and flung it to the ground. No more games. He barged through the door of the shelter and glared around with wildness in his eyes. Beside the stack of cardboard boxes sat a gallon of white gas for use in his lantern. Cole unscrewed the top. Recklessly, he splashed the gas over the supplies. He dumped the remaining fuel on the shelter walls. Ripping open boxes, he found matches. Then, swaying on his feet, he pulled out a single match. He walked outside and stared at the supplies and at the shelter. His vision blurred. Rage controlled his tight grip on the match. It controlled the defiant flare of his nostrils and the striking of the match against the box. Rage controlled Cole's hand as he drew back, paused for a split second, and then flipped at the lighted match against the shelter. The gas ignited, and flames spread quickly into a steady blaze that crept over the boxes. Yellow flames turned orange and red, then burned with streaks of blue. As the fire became an inferno, Cole tried to swallow the bitter taste that had come to his mouth.